don't want you to put hands on and leave the building or you're going to jail.
Oh my God! What is he doing?
Hey.
February 13th, 2025, Sierra Vista, Arizona. A high school basketball game. What happened next shocked everyone. It was supposed to be a normal Friday night. A high school basketball game. Parents watching their kids play, students cheering. A familiar scene across America. But on this night, everything went wrong.
Leave the building.
Please.
Leave the building. You've already been advised. Leave the building. Leave the building. Leave the building.
A group of parents refused to leave the gym. They argued with police, they got arrested, and the whole thing turned into a riot. This is the story of what happened. The game had just ended. It was around 8:45 p.m. The visiting team's players were not leaving through the gym. The school had a plan. The players would go to their team bus outside a different door. A school staff member named Frankie explained this to the parents. He told them clearly, if you want to meet your kids, leave the building and wait by the bus. The gym needs to be cleared. But about 30 parents from the visiting team refused to leave. They wanted to wait inside the gym for their children. They did not listen to Frankie. School officials called the police. When police arrived, they found a group of parents who would not leave. The officers started giving commands. Their message was simple. Officer, leave the building.
Leave the building.
I have not done anything to disturb anything.
That command was repeated many times. But the parents did not move. They argued. They said they had the right to stay. Some questioned why the police were even there. The officers stayed calm. They explained the situation again and again. But the parents still refused to leave. One officer later said, Frankie told them numerous times to leave. They essentially were refusing. The police gave more warnings. They told the parents to leave or they would be arrested. After many warnings, the police decided to take action. They focused on one couple who seemed to be leading the resistance. Their names were Rebecca Bush and Sahib Bush. An officer walked up to them and gave a final warning. Officer, turn around and leave the building or you're going to jail. It's as simple as that. Rebecca Bush, I have not said a word. But the officer was not negotiating anymore. He told Mrs. Bush she was under arrest for trespassing. She had refused to leave after being told multiple times. That is when things got worse. Mr. Bush stepped in. He tried to stop the officer from arresting his wife. He got in the way and pushed. In the police report, an officer said, the coach stepped in and started trying to push me away from her. Now the situation became physical. Other officers rushed in to help. The crowd of parents got louder. They started yelling at the police. Officer, back up, guys.
Back up, guys. Back up.
The police were trying to control the couple, but the crowd made it harder. People were shouting, filming with their phones, and accusing the officers of doing something wrong. The police had to push the crowd back to create space. Within a few minutes, the police gained control. Sahib Bush was handcuffed and sat on the gym bleachers.
SAHIB,
And your date of birth? Your ID out of?
Arizona. Can I ask why?
And your address?
Oh, can I ask why?
Yeah, because you're being...
Rebecca Bush was also detained. Now came a quiet but important moment. An officer sat next to Mr. Bush and began reading him his rights. Officer, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Mr. Bush listened, but instead of staying quiet, he started asking questions. He wanted to know why he was being arrested. Sahib Bush, can I ask why these charges are being brought up against me? Officer, because there's probable cause for your arrest.
If I told you you're under arrest and you essentially sat on the ground and refused to submit to arrest and you refused to come inside after we were pulling you inside for several seconds, pulling away against us, propping yourself into the doorframe to prevent us from arresting you.
The officer explained the charges. First, criminal trespass. That means refusing to leave a property after being told to leave. Second, resisting arrest. The officer described exactly what Mr. Bush did. He said Mr. Bush braced himself in the doorframe. He pulled away. He refused to submit, even after being told he was under arrest multiple times. The officer also said something important. He explained that Mr. Bush's resistance was serious. It could have been charged as a felony, but the officer was giving him a break by charging it as a misdemeanor. Mr. Bush kept arguing. He asked what counted as a reasonable request to leave. Officer, telling you to leave several times. That's ultimately up to the judge.
I just want to
The question's about the citation itself, not how you think that you didn't violate the law.
Okay.
So if you understand how to show up to court to prevent you from getting an arrest warrant, cool. Hang out right there.
The officer finally stopped the argument. He told Mr. Bush that if he didn't have questions about his court date, the conversation was over. The time to argue his case was in court, not in the gym. Meanwhile, another officer was talking to Rebecca Bush. She was also being charged with trespassing and resisting arrest. Officer, she received a criminal citation for 2 things. First is trespassing, and second is resisting arrest. Instead of taking them to jail, the police gave them a court date. They were released that night. Their court date was set for March 13th, 2025. But this story is not just about the Bush couple. It is about the group of parents who stood with them. There were about 30 parents from the visiting team. They did not leave when told. They did not calm down when the police arrived. Instead, they became a mob. As the police tried to arrest the couple, the crowd shouted profanity. They called the police disgusting names. They filmed everything and yelled, "You guys saw it," as if the police were doing something wrong. One officer later summed it up to his supervisor. Officer, we gave them numerous orders. Numerous orders, numerous orders. Police later counted. They gave at least 50 commands for the parents to leave. 50 times they said, "Leave the building." And 50 times, the parents ignored them.
Exit the building!
Keep fucking walking. The building that's a coach officer.
I get it, exit the building!
You're not leaving.
Exit the building! Piece of shit! Exit shit! I'm winning. Exit the building. What? Exit the building.
One officer was frustrated. He talked about Mr. Bush, who had served 25 years in the military. Officer, this guy's 25 years military and he knows better. Tell him to leave the building and he's walking like a child. That officer pointed out the obvious. A grown man with military experience should know how to follow orders. But instead, he acted like a child who did not want to listen. In the end, 4 people were charged. The Bush couple faced trespassing and resisting arrest charges. Others were also cited. The video of this incident spread quickly online. People called the parents Karens, a term for adults who think rules do not apply to them. The video was shared thousands of times. The school district also had to respond. They created new security rules for future sporting events, all because a group of parents could not follow a simple instruction: leave the building. So, what really happened that night? It was not about a misunderstanding. The parents knew exactly what they were told. Frankie explained it. The police explained it, over and over again. It was about a choice. A group of adults decided that their feelings mattered more than the rules. They thought if they refused long enough, the police would give up. They were wrong. The police gave them chance after chance. They were patient. They were professional. But when the parents chose to resist, the police had no choice but to act. In the end, a high school basketball game turned into chaos. Not because of the players, not because of the school, but because some parents forgot how to be adults. They forgot that when a police officer says, "Leave the building," you leave. It is that simple. All suspects were charged with criminal trespass and resisting arrest. The school district implemented new security protocols for all sporting events. The video of this incident has been viewed millions of times online.